Good morning. Welcome to Lucore Automotive. It's a beautiful fall day here in Columbus, Ohio, and it's time to do something we like to do, dynoing. Today, we're going to take this beautiful multicolored V6 Mustang to the dyno at CIA Performance, but it's not just any multicolored Mustang. What started life as a V6 Mustang and a manual transmission has seen a little bit of a transformation. And if you're any fan of Ford products, this license plate may give you a hint. So we're going to fire this guy up. We're going to head on over to CIA Performance, where our wonderful friends over there will do some dyno tuning and checking, making sure this thing is running in optimal condition. And we got a couple of things we're going to have to iron out with the customer after that's done. But we wanted to film the dyno part of this because who doesn't love a sexy dyno run? Even if it's in a really terrible looking Mustang. So you'll probably notice from the sound of that exhaust, this is not a V6 Mustang anymore. This customer actually brought this to us as a project that had started somewhere else, and he brought it to us to help finish it and wrap it up. Extremely expansive project. What started life as a V6 Mustang with a manual transmission and a tan interior, it doesn't really have any of that original V6 Mustang left to it. We'll go with a little bit of a deep dive in a future video. Today is purely going to be just some fun dyno runs. We're going to let this thing warm up and we're going to hit the road. Now before we go any further, please let me explain the blonde locks in case you're distracted. This past weekend was the Motorvice car show, and Motorvice is 80s and 90s cars, so I had to go with the frosty blonde tips in order to fit in with the 80s, 90s crowd, and the jawline beard. The things I used to do in the 90s. This is your typical 2000 Mustang GT or V6. Really nice tan leather interior. Yeah, it's pretty much stock. Until you get to things like the gauges, which are a custom autometer set. That's not stock. And then you get down to the shifter, which says Tremec on it. And there's 6 speeds, not 5. Starts to let you know there's a little bit of something going on in this car. Now from the outside, as you saw, there's nothing about this car that would make you at all worried about racing this thing wherever, on any kind of surface, on any kind of track. The V6 Mustangs in these eras were not performance cars. This one, however, I worry. Well, here we are again, over at CIA Performance, with another car to do. And as I told you, there's a few things that are hiding underneath the hood of this thing, and we'll give you a quick little peek under the hood, exactly what we're talking about while Eric is doing the work here. This is a Ford Racing Performance Aluminator with a CobraJet intake and all kinds of goodies, hiding the body of a terrible 2001 V6 Mustang. This is a terrible idea that the customer had before we knew him, that has slowly and methodically become a fantastically terrible idea. No one should build this. No one should spend the amount of money that this gentleman has spent on this car. It is terrifyingly fast and hilarious because there is absolutely nobody that sees this thing coming down the road and is at all worried about it until this thing wakes up at like 4,000 RPMs and embarrasses whatever it wants to. For a street car, super fun. So it's over here to get a couple of things checked out. We're going to make sure the tune is good. We're going to run on the dyno, see where we are power number wise, see if there's anything else that we need to fix. As I said, this car was somewhat built before we got to it. We were here to kind of iron out some of the problems and get some of the issues resolved to get the car back to the customer so he could enjoy it. So the nice thing with having partners in business like we have here is we can bring something over. They can help us do diagnostics on things that we don't have the ability to do. So we're going to see what this thing does, A, power-wise, and B, we're going to see what our weak points are and what we should possibly be looking at to upgrade later on down the line. So we've got all the straps done at this point in time. Eric is checking the tune out inside, doing his computer thing. You know.
Hello everyone, how are you doing today?
You've probably seen Eric. He's done a lot of vehicles for us, and then we'll do a lot more vehicles for us. But this is all the really exciting part of tuning is sitting in the car playing on a laptop.
Yeah, waiting.
So we'll fire this thing up here in a little bit and let you guys hear what it sounds like and see what this unbelievably attractive Mustang can do. About what we were kind of expecting as far as what the crate motor does from one of these guys.
Yeah, pretty accurate.
So in case you haven't noticed, this is an Aluminator crate motor with a CobraJet intake, stuck in a beautifully well-maintained 2001 Mustang V6. Made for
421-ish, pretty consistently. I mean, pretty standard off-the-shelf tune, except for doing a couple of things for the particular application as far as code-wise goes.
Does like all kinds of area codes.
Yep, right, exactly. Now, it's about where it needs to be. No point really going in and doing a whole lot more to it because we're not going to get a lot more out of it.
Yeah.
The headers are smaller than I would normally like to see on a Coyote motor.
Right.
But I also understand it has to fit in
fitment issues.
Yeah.
Right.
Everything's pretty close, so there's just like no way to really get anything much bigger in there. The only thing you do now is put some boost on it.
Yeah. Well, one of the things we were talking about off camera was the nice thing with this setup is the rev range, how far it runs out.
Yep.
So most of the older Mustang series by like 6,000, 6,500, they're over and done with.
Yes.
This thing revved out to $8,000.
No
It
problem.
didn't care at all.
Right.
There's no drop off in power. There's no nothing. It's just a nice big flat power curve at the top.
Yep. Actually, power up top from like 65 all the way up to just shy of 8,000 is pretty flat.
Yeah. Which
is part of the reason that the CobraJet intake manifold and that throttle body set was developed. It's more geared towards top end power from like 5,000 up. Originally it was designed, as everybody probably knows, for GT350Rs, which is set up for a road race car.
Right.
So that's why that power band is that way. It still makes it fun. You can drive it around on the street and you don't really notice, you know, you don't
It is a
really
little
notice.
weird driving a Mustang that high in the rev range though. You could drive it around on the street in the lower revs, 2,000, 3,000 RPM, but this thing wakes up at like $4 grand.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, for all of you internet peoples who have never driven one of these and who are likely never to drive something that's CobraJet powered, it's really odd driving a Mustang that wakes up like VTEC, yo.
Yeah.
You know, at $4 grand, it's a totally different ballgame from 4 to 8 than it is in the lower revs. It's a really weird feeling. And it is really odd when you're coming past somebody in the highway, if you wanted to say, for instance, play with somebody, and you're starting out at like $4 grand. You know, that's not normally where you would be.
Have to equate it to like what a Honda does.
Yeah.
Like old school B16, B18Cs. They
live
love
in a really high-end rev range.
They love living up there.
Yeah.
But that's what Ford was going for a couple of reasons. Obviously, drag racing wise, less shifts.
Yeah.
With a good power band. Road racing wise, hello, same
Oh,
thing.
for sure. This would be a blast on a road course.
Yeah.
And
they are. They really are. The whole CobraJet thing was developed for actually road racing in mind. It's just obviously everybody adapts it for drag racing / street racing.
Right. Not that we condone street racing.
No, it's illegal. Don't do it. Keep it on the track.
Correct.
So, but that was the reason behind the development of the Coyote and the CobraJet intake manifold and everything that goes along with it.
Yeah. Well, there you go. We ran some dyno runs. We showed you some dyno runs. There wasn't a lot for us to do, which is a good thing.
Right.
Again, what we talked about originally was this is a tool because it allows us to see the health of the vehicle, it allows us to see where our weak points are, and allows us to plan going forward.
Yeah.
If we want to go, does it make sense to throw on headers? Does it make sense to go bigger injectors? Does it make sense to throw on nitrous? Are we running too lean? Are we running too rich? The abilities you can pull out of a dyno, the things you can pull out data-wise, and between having a tuner and a builder that can work on this, it's a great tool to be able to figure out your next steps, much more so than you would just on a lift and on the rack.
It's also a very, very good diagnostic tool. That's really what, I mean, everybody wants to see a final, like, awesome number.
Right.
But there are cases where it is strictly a diagnostic tool. Well, in the middle of winter, it's snowing in Ohio. What are you going to do with this car? You can't even drive it.
Right.
So bring it in, we can do that, and we can diagnose stuff going on so that people can move forward with their builds.
Right.
And there's actually cars that are like stock that sometimes you need to do road diagnosis on, and people don't want them driven in the winter.
Right.
So you can bring it in.
You have a rolling road.
Yeah. This is a controlled environment.
Right.
So it's very good for that as well.
And it's also not blazingly hot today.
No.
Which is nice. The last 2 or 3 times we've done dynos.
It's been 90 plus.
So there you go. Eric, again, thank you very much, sir. We appreciate it. CI Performance in Columbus, Ohio. Wonderful business partner of ours. We can't say enough about these guys. They've done wonderful work for us. And they help us get done what we do. Without these kind of guys and business partners, you're screwed. So if you need anything done in Columbus, Ohio, Mustang, Camaro, Subaru, Lexus, Porsche, these guys can do it. So I'm gonna get this thing back to the shop. I may clean it, maybe not. It's kind of fun the way it is. But yeah, so hope you enjoyed this video. As always, like, comment, click on that subscribe button, and we will see you next time.
Bye-bye now.